Hi everyone, welcome to DCKAP Integrator latest release version 5.0.0. I'm Himanshi from Customer Education DCKAP. So this release brings some exciting improvement that make building and using system easier and more efficient. Joining me is my colleague Brighty. She's the senior product developer of DCKAP Integrator. She'll take us through all the exciting new features today. So, Brighty, would you like to say quick hi to our audience?
Thank you, Himanshi. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here and even more excited to show what version 5.0.0 has in store.
So, Brighty, can you tell us what's the highlight of this release?
We have made an exciting update to improve clarity and user experience with systems. That's the highlight of this release.
Okay, so for benefits of user, can you please brief about how systems were prior to and after the release in integrator, and what will happen to the already existing systems? Will they work fine?
Yeah, Himanshi. DCKAP Integrator has ready to use systems, e-commerce, CRM, ERP systems. We call them the public systems. If the system you're trying to integrate is not available in the list of the public system, no worries. DCKAP Integrator allows you to create your own customized systems. You can configure your own APIs over there, accessible only to the members of your project, known as private systems. Up to version 4.4.0, the user can build and use systems through the same systems section. We have now separated builder and user capabilities. We have introduced a brand new section, system builder section, for building private systems. And with it, a brand new approach, beta approach for creating them. Rest assured, the systems that you're already using will continue to function seamlessly.
Brighty, can you take us through the product and show what changes we did in the system menu?
Sure, Himanshi. Let me share my screen and explain. So here is the newly introduced system builder menu for creating private systems. And this is the existing systems menu, which now focuses only on using the systems of the project. So be it connecting to the private systems that has been created in the project or the public systems that are already available in DCKAP Integrator. So if you click on the existing systems menu, I'll walk you through the changes available over here first. So clicking on add system, you will see the list of all the systems available in the DCKAP integrator. So these are all the public systems that you see. And there are some systems with the beta tag. The systems that have the beta tag or the systems that are created with a brand new approach introduced in version 5.0.0. Also, if you have created any private systems in the project, that will also appear in the list over here. For example, in this project, I have created one private system for the old system, which is sample old system. This is a private system. And this is a system created using the new approach introduced in version 5.0.0. This is a private system as well, sample new system. So, be it private systems created in the project or the public systems that are available, all the systems will be listed when you click on add system. So now if you want to connect to an old system, so by old system I mean the system that were created prior to the release version 5.0.0. Say for example, connecting to Shopify, if you click on this, you will end up in the usual screen how it was before. So now, if you are trying to connect to the beta system that is created with a brand new approach introduced in version 5.0.0, when you click on the beta systems, you will have a pop-up where you're prompted to enter the credentials, the credential name and the time zone. Then what are the fields that are required to connect to the system? So I've entered all the credentials over here, and the difference between the new approach and the old approach is like earlier you can store even the invalid credentials. Now, when you're entering your credentials, the test connection API is tested for these credentials that you have entered, and only if it is valid, this will be saved. So as you can see, the test and save, only if the test connection is successful, the credentials will be saved. So once it is saved, if I'm closing, you can see here under the same systems menu, you will have that shown in this way. As you can see, Himanshi, this is the major difference in this release. Under the systems menu, you will have all the systems that you have used. That is, the user capabilities are only listed over here. The systems for which you have created credentials, be it a private system or a public system, be it created in the old version or in the new update, beta approach, all the systems that for which the credentials have been created will be listed under the systems menu. So this is the major change under this section.
Betty, I have a question.
Yeah.
Suppose the system I want to connect to is in the public system list. Let's say I want to use Shopify. Okay, but the API which I need is like, it's missing. So in those type of scenarios, what should I do?
Yeah, that's a great question, Imanshi. So, as you can see in the screen, I've shown one is with the old system and one is with the new system. So, let me explain for both the cases. So, in case of Shopify, it is an old system I've created. So, now if you don't find the API in the public system list, just go to edit system and you don't find here the API, then what you can do is just click on that. You will have this add new API button. So here you can add, or even you can click on this private API. So over here you will still say the same thing where you have the add new API section. So from here you can add private APIs. These APIs will be visible only to the members of the project. So this is for the old system. So now getting back to the new system. So for the Evolution X, this is created in the beta version. So now here I'm editing the system. Over here, you have the API Manager section. So here you have the Add New API section. So this button will help you to create any new API that you want to create. So this is the place. So you can create private APIs and use it when the system you want is there as a public system. We would like to encourage you to use the public system because that will reduce the work that you want to do. And we are also working towards increasing the number of public systems and the public APIs available so that the users can connect to the systems seamlessly.
I think the changes in system menu made for system users are really user friendly. How can we create a private system in this system builder now with the brand new beta approach? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, sure, Himanshi. So now that we have seen the systems menu, let us move on to the newly introduced system builder section. This is the section for creating private systems, be it old or new. So now I'll show you how to create a new private system using the newly introduced beta approach. So coming to the system builder, you can click on create new system. So where you will be asked to enter the basic system details. So for example, I'm going to show you how to create OpenAI as a private system. So now over here, you can mention over here the system name and what is the category you can choose. And if you have any documentation link, the API documentation link, you can put it over here. So I'm just have things in place. So I'm just taking it and putting it over here. And if you want to give any description about the system, please go ahead and you can give it. And here in the next tab, you can give the authentication method with which you want to connect to the system. So by default, it will be shown as basic authentication. and only one authentication method is supported for here. So suppose now let me go over here to see what is the type of authentication supported by OpenAI. So any system that you want to create as a private system, just go to the API documentation and over here you can find the details. So for OpenAI, it is mentioned as a HTTP bearer authentication bearer and then OpenAI API key. So now coming over here, basic authentication is not what I'm searching for. So I'm deleting it over here. And you can click on add authentication where you have different type of authentications supported. So as you can see, when you have a static token, you have to use no authentication. And when you want to hit a particular API and generate the token, you can use dynamic token authentication, or if you have a username and password, you can go ahead with the basic authentication, which is actually selected by default when you create a new system. Or if you want to go ahead with OAuth 1 or OAuth 2, you can choose whatever type is supported by your system. So now in our case, it is a bearer token and the token is actually static. So since it is static token, I'm using this no auth. So after providing this detail, I can click on save and continue. So now system created successfully and I'll end up in a new page. This is the draft version. So as you can see here, here I can configure the rest of the things. So this is the way to get started with creating a private system in the new approach, Amanshi.
So Brighty, I can see on the left side we have credential inputs and test connection. So can you tell us like what what is this and what's new in this?
Yes, Imanshi. So, as you see here, this credential input section is actually to configure the fields that we want when we are collecting the credential. So, when we are building any system, there can be certain data that we want to get from the user. Earlier in the old approach, we used to have keywords like get from user, get from credential. We used to add those keywords when we want to collect a particular field during the credential collection from the system user. So now over here, it has been made more user friendly. And over here, as you can see, if you want the host name, by default, the host name will be obtained over here. In some cases, the host name is the same always. So you need not obtain it from user always. You can just configure it as a system builder. If you're configuring it here, it will be available for all the system users. Say, for example, in OpenAI, let me go to the documentation. As you can see here, it is a open api.openai.com/v1. So if this is going to be, it does not have anything customized to the user. But in case of big commerce, if you see the store hash might be needed. So here, since it is general, what I can do is as a system builder, if it is not going to be different for different users, I need not get it from every specific user in the credential section. So I can just use it over here. So override value, I'm just setting it as the host name, common host name. And as you see here, what we need is like a open API key is needed. So now this has to be collected from the system user. So whoever wants to connect to OpenAI, we need to collect the OpenAI API key from them. So here you can configure that. So OpenAI API key, and you give a key name. So I'm giving it like just key. So, what is the type of the input when you want to get it from the credential? If it is input, then it is just going to be a box where you're going to input, and whatever you type will be visible. Or if you want to use it as a drop down, you have the ability to choose it as a drop down, and you have to go ahead with a dictionary in the key value pair to give like what are the drop down options that you want, like how it has to be visible and how it has to be stored in the DB. That you have to give it as key value pairs. And you have other two options like mask and sensitive. So if you go ahead with the mask, it will be like you will have an eye icon. It will be hidden from the user when they are typing it, like a password field, it will be masked. So let me set this as a mask field for now. And now let me move to the next part. So this is how the credentials should be obtained. So the next thing that you see here is the test connection. So when getting the credentials, as I had already mentioned, in the new systems, we will be testing the connection, and only if it is valid, we will be saving. So what is the API that needs to be hit when this credential is being stored? That has to be given over here. So let me take the first general API that they had given. So slash models. So this part I have already given the host name in common for the full system over here in the override value. So that part will be over there. That will be replaced by here. This inputs dot host name. So now over here I need to give slash models. So this is how it is going to be. And in the header section, you can give the content type as application JSON. So now, alongside that, when you're passing, you need to pass that authorization header. What you obtained from the user in this particular key, in the key field, I've given it as key. So in this key, what is being stored, that has to be sent in the authorization. So as you can see here, authorization, bearer, then the open API keys value. So these are optional. The OpenAI organization and project are optional over here. I'm ignoring it for now. So in my case, that is not needed. So authorization bearer is needed. So here I'm coming back again to this screen. So here I'm giving authorization and bearer space. Now I need to replace that open AI API key which I obtained from the user in the credential section. To do it, just give double curly bracket inputs dot and the name of the key that you have mentioned over here. So here it is just key for me. So I'm just giving it as key. So whatever you want from the credential input section to be used in any API calls, you can go ahead with this particular syntax, double curly bracket, inputs dot and the key. So this will work out. So now, as you can see, you have the ability to even test from here using direct value. If you want to go ahead with that, you can go ahead with that. Or you can use the credentials. You can add a credential and you can test it. So this is all about the credential input section and the test connection.
Brighty, I'm curious, like how we can add credentials here, and also like I have one doubt. So these credential inputs and the builder credentials, so are these same or they are different from each other? So can you tell us?
Thank you for that question, Imanchi. So let me now save it and show you. So here, as you can see, Open API key is the field that needs to be obtained when adding a credential. So to add the credential, the actual credential is where the builder credential. So as a system builder, when I'm adding and testing out whether that API is working fine or not, I may need to add some credential and try and test and work around, play around that. So for that purpose, this builder credential is there. So this will not be visible to the system users. This is only for the system builder. So for the system builders use like to test the APIs, to play around and work around, this is used. So I'm just clicking on add credential. So as you can see here, a pop-up opens with the credential inputs that I configured there when I was creating the system. So the credential input section I had mentioned like OpenAI API key is needed, right? So that has been asked over here. So now I can add my credentials. So my OpenAI creds and I'm just pasting my OpenAI API key. So as you know, it has been masked over there. So that's why it has been hidden from the user's perspective. So now here, when I click on test and save, if that slash models is working fine, then I'll be getting this. And now I've added this credential. So one way to add the credential is directly from the builder credential section, or even when you're here in the test connection system, here you will have the ability to add credentials. So now actually for the builder, one credential is sufficient. So we allow a system builder to add only one credential. So if you delete over here, you will actually find there only one can be there at a time. So the add credential will be visible over here. Also here, you have the ability. If you click on that add credential, the same pop-up is going to come up. So this is how you add your builder credential and test. And note that this builder credential cannot be used inside the workflow. So this is only for system builders testing purpose.
So Brighty, I can see the API manager in the next to the builder credentials. So can you tell us like whether the API manager is same as in the previous system screen, or is there any change in the screen?
API manager section is concerned, it is almost the same as how it was. The one evident change that you can see here is inputs.hostname. So if that is being configured in our case as the builder, we configured it over here. So in this case, this will be replaced over there. Or if we have not, if the system builder has not given this, this field will be obtained from the user in the credential and that will get replaced over here. So only the relative URL starting with a slash has to be given over here. And other than that, the major difference that we have brought in is like API manager common fields. So the API common fields, what are these means? Sometimes we feel certain fields getting repeated, certain headers needs to be passed for all the APIs that we are adding for the system. For example, content type application JSON. So in that case, what we can do is we can go to the API common field section and click on the headers and just add here content type application JSON. And similarly, if you have any params that is common to the things, you can mention it over here. If you give it a tick mark, what happens is like by default, it will get populated over here. As you can see here, that will get auto populated. And wherever you create the APIs, this will get auto populated. So this not only applies over here, this thing that you're giving over here will get reflected in the test connection API as well. So here also that content type will go. So suppose only in one API you want as application XML, you can just again type that line that will help you to override that particular field. So this is something that reduces the redundant work that is being done by system builders, Simanshi.
I understood, Brighty. And what about the version history? Can you take us through that?
I'll tell you why this version history is needed and the reason that we brought in the version history. So when we add public systems, public APIs, sometimes new APIs are being released by the system. Say, for example, Shopify gives updates to its REST APIs. And BigCommerce gives updates to its REST APIs. So at that time, we are not able to give any update to our integrator users. So to overcome this specific challenge, we have brought in the version history in general, and also to any system builder, that is the same case. So only to ensure that once it is published, that can be used. And if you want to provide any update, we can create a new version and publish it and start using it. That is how it works. And now I can show you a demo of how to do it. I'll just remove the APIs for now. And as you see here, this test and publish is not visible because until and unless you save all the changes that you have made to the system, you cannot do it. If you save it, and you will see this test and publish, so where you will be asked for details like the version number, the recommended, is this the recommended version that you want? Like, say for example, if you have v1, v2, v3, which is the one you want your users to use, which is the one that you recommend as a system builder, that can be given over here. For that particular version, when you're publishing, you can choose yes or no. And the recommended release type, right now we have worked only with manual. Maybe in future releases we might be going ahead with the auto release, and the release notes that you want, and you can test, and once you publish, this will be accessible for use. So only the systems that are released, that are published, can be used in the systems menu section. So if you want to switch to the other versions, you can use downgrade, upgrade button, where you will be directed through a series of steps. If it is being used by any workflow, you will be asked to disable that and move ahead with the alternative. Suppose a version has an API and the next version doesn't have, you will be asked to take up the necessary action steps for smoother upgrade and downgrade process as a user of any particular system.
Brighty, that was clear walkthrough. Before we conclude it, I have some more questions from user perspective. So my first question is, versioning looks cool on the system builder end, okay, but how to create a new version and how will it appear for system user who is trying to use it? So can you shed a light on it?
Yeah. So to create a new version after publishing one particular version, you'll have a button called create new version over here. And also under this three dots also, you'll have create new version. So you can create new version. So a draft version will be created, which is actually a duplicate of whatever you have earlier. And here, any changes that you want to make, you can make. Say, for example, I'm adding some uh, random description and APIs. Some APIs can be added in real time. That's how it goes. So once you add it, once you save it, you just go ahead with the version history tab. And here you will see a draft version that can be tested and actually published. For example, 2.0.0 and uh, release notes can be given here. Actually, I'm just giving in general over here. And you have to test the connection actually at this point, and keeping it and testing it and publish. So you can publish any number of versions like this at the builder end. So now, as a user, how to use the system? So when multiple versions are there, now when I'm clicking on add system, here it will be listed. So as you see here, OpenAI beta is the one I created. And when trying to create credentials, here there will be options to choose which version. By default, the recommended version will be selected. If you want to choose anything else, you can choose anything else. So this is how it appears to the user when a system has multiple version. And one thing to highlight is like a user can have only one system's version used in a project. Say for example, in OpenAI, there are two versions available, but I can use only one version in my project. So here you can choose the version and mention the name of the credentials and provide the value, test and save. So once that credential is added, it will get listed in the systems menu. So now here, if you click on edit system, this is the user view of the systems menu. So now here in the version history, you will have the ability to downgrade. So I had selected 2.0.0. So from 2.0.0, I can downgrade to 1.0.0. You have the downgrade button.
I got this. So my next question is, in the release notes, I saw a line on improved token authentication in beta version. So can you explain that? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's another area where we have brought in some additional features. So when you have a system which is token auth, maybe I'll try to create a draft version and show an example. So in authentication methods, if you are using this dynamic token authentication, so the API that you need to hit to get the token dynamically can be mentioned over here, configured over here, and you can have this add new step. So if you give this over here, it will hit this API. Then the result of this can be used over here using the double curly bracket syntax, and we can even take the final token from here. So after that final token, the last step is where the final token will be taken from. So if you want to use that token in any of the API manager, you can go ahead with the syntax of double curly bracket token dot. If it is a dictionary of access token, you will just give like a access token, the key name you will be giving like this. So this is how you can use that token authentication.
Thank you, Brighty, for the clarifications. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, explore these features in version 5.0.0, and we look forward to your feedback. And we'll see you in the next updated week. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to DCKAP on YouTube and explore the DCKAP Learning playlist. Check the description below for more.